Alright, response video to Beardy Man. Apparently not much point because Beardy Man is not watching my videos apparently, so it's just such a putz. This is just one of the ironies of the internet, right? Some people you can't get a response, you make a point, and then when you get responses, people ignore your response to their response, kind of thing. I mean, it just sucks. But anyway, so this is Dreams 2. So I'm just making this video for people who watch the Mystics videos. And, and I'm just going to make the counter argument that he's ignoring, that exists. Because what he's saying is kind of, well, in this case, it's a lot more horseshitty than it was the first time. So, Dreams and Stuff 2 is, not too good. I mean, this isn't really that complicated. So he asked two questions overtly. Basically, he says science doesn't understand why we dream, why we sleep, and then, why we dream. And I don't think that the answers are all complicated or difficult. And yes, all answers to all questions are a matter of deduction, and based on, drawing a framework, a picture that works, a wheel that's round, and you just see that it's not round because it's not rolling, you just cut the edges off that aren't rolling, kind of a thing, and that's sort of how logic works. And there's answers that are either logical or illogical, and it seems to me that he's straw-manning the argument by saying, well, what conventional statement is that it's data processing. That's what we do at night. We data process. I never even heard of that as an explanation for what a dream is, that it's data processing. I mean, if it is, it's pretty irrational data processing. I don't really understand how it has anything to do with data processing. I go to Madonna's house and her head falls off, and then I spend, the whole afternoon looking at her zoo animals with talking to a person that's just a head rolling on the ground. That really doesn't seem like data processing. Look, you gotta understand, our brains, see, if you don't get the basic thing right, you're not gonna understand any of this shit. The brain is mixed brains. It's more than one brain. And, one brain's doing the, let's generate a problem, and the other brain is, let's generate a solution. And those two are just playing with each other. And that's the dynamic of it. That's how it evolves through time, is throwing pies at each other, sort of thing, and you see what sticks. Not a really good explanation, but the two brains are just finding a compatible space, tolerating each other in some respect. Of at least two minds. There could be many more in there, but it doesn't really matter. The two basic functions are feel the problem, think the solution. That's what the brain's basic function is. Alright, so we'll play this part. This is where it gets a little interesting. Well, I mean, you don't really need the first 7 minutes. This is where he actually says things directly. Pretty much.
God of the gaps. We don't know why. I don't think science didn't know last time I looked. Why people sleep, why people dream.
Alright, well, the sleep thing is just so easy. It's about being this maximized toolkit. And it's really hard to be a toolkit that's maximized to the two hugely different conditions that exist on Earth. Right? That every organism has to experience. Sun up, sun down. Those are hugely different environments. Right? And most of the animals have evolved in that universe. I mean, the stuff living 500 miles under the ocean or something. So most organisms have to deal with this fact that there's a thing called night and day. And these are really different environments, and so most animals, I think all the animals anyway, are not proficient at both environments. Unless they're living under a rock where it doesn't matter. Then they go all day. They don't bother resting. No need. And then the ones that do rest, that live in this real environment, in a dark environment, usually do so because they came from the lit environment. Their ancestors used to live in the world where it was night and day, and so they still have that habit. But the fact is that night and day are really different. It's really hard to be skilled at both. So it's really hard to have tools that work in both environments. There's one environment, there's antennas and blah blah blah. The other environment's all this vision thing. And once we don't have our vision thing, we are a blind ship. You know, it's a ship with no radar, no sonar. It just don't go anywhere, don't do anything. You know, because you're just going to get into trouble. That kind of thing. So that's why I mean, it just seems slam dunk answer, forget it, it's over. We sleep because day and night are really different things, and you can't be good at both of them. You're either good at nighttime shit. There's animals that are really good at doing the night thing, and they sleep during the day. There's animals really good at the day thing, and they, you know, sleep at night. But there's not a whole lot of animals that do both well. Predatory cats, you know, lions and stuff, pretty good night hunters, but they do most of it during the day.
So they make stuff up. It's not even that the modern scientists make stuff up. It's just that the old stuff.
Right, everything is made up stuff. Everything is taking facts and mixing them together and saying, does this bake into a cupcake I can eat? My brain can say, yeah, that makes sense. That's a sensible picture. That's a round wheel. That's all. So it's all made up. There's stuff that's made up that's reasonable and stuff that's made up that's unreasonable. There's a God out in the who came from, and that kind of made up stuff. Yeah, looks, sounds, feels, is a non-starter. It just, as soon as you say, it always was complicated and brainy, and it's been around forever, except it gets inspired to do something new. Yeah, like it hasn't already done that and been there and done that before. The whole thing doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, 40 seconds of thought, and it's, whoa, that's not a round wheel. God is not a round wheel answer.
From the times when people did make stuff up, is still lying out there. So that's just...
Right, the stuff based on crappy facts. Thunder! It's scary! Yeah, that's the fact they had. Yes, the conclusions drawn in grotesque ignorance should be put in the bin properly, and you should just start over with the new facts like, oh, there's electricity in the clouds, and they move up and down, and they go very, very fast sometimes and break the sound barrier, and that goes bangity bang bang. Oh, okay. Or the lightning bolt shoots through the atmosphere at a certain speed, and it shoots the little atoms at a certain speed, and it goes bangity bang bang.
How people accept it. They think, oh well, the brain goes in the past and does data processing of past things, or projects things into the future for
what I explained in my whole video was about. This one right here, dreams and stuff, the response video to you, putthead. Practice, jackass. That's right, we learn from experiences. Experience change us. And that's right. So practice is good. And know what? There's another element to it that's probably even more important evolutionarily. Is that the brain's always got this struggle between the two things you want to do. You want to consume, but you don't want to be consumed. So those are the two things in conflict. I want to consume, me no want to be consumed. Right? So those are the two things your brain's got to balance. So it says, yeah, when there's food, dig in, baby. You know, get as much as you can. But, okay, you don't be so obsessed with doing your consuming that you forget there might be something ready to consume you. So you got to stay paranoid. So maybe dreams function in a way where when you start feeling a little too comfortable in life, you don't have enough stress, yeah, give him a nightmare. Because this guy's gotten way too comfortable. He's not looking over his shoulder enough. So scare him. Give him a bad dream. And then I bet you the next day, he'll be looking over his shoulder a lot more, right? So give him a dream about a crocodile chasing him down the street in New York City. Chases him up a tree. And, you know, yes, and then tomorrow, he'll be looking over his shoulder a little bit more. He'll be paranoid. And then vice versa. You know, if I'm stressed the fuck out, the lions are chasing me all the time, they're putting, you know, my butt's all scarred up, blah, 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 I'm really sick of life, I can't stand it anymore. Well then, yeah, give me the whatever, the booby twins, and, you know, a good time, and then I'll be hungry tomorrow, saying, where are them damn booby twins? I saw them last night. Alright, I'll be hungry for it. So yeah, that's what the brain is doing. It's doing some lifing on the cheap. You know, just making it up. But it's lifing that's going to change you. You will learn from the experience, whether you do it consciously or not. Your brain is learning.
Looking out how it would do something if the thing that happens in the dream happened to happen.
Well, it's not really the thing happening in the dream. It's the idea or theme in the dream, which is struggle, or I'm trapped, or I'm in trouble. It's getting you used to a situation so that when it really happens and you really have to chew your own foot off, well, okay, well, I did do that in that dream, so yeah, I guess I can do it. It's not that hard. I mean, you know, getting through that bone is the tricky part because it's really hard. Yeah, that kind of thing.
It just doesn't add up and take away to me. I think
well, that's because you don't, you're an information bigot. Yeah. Yeah. Apparently all your sources have to be incredibly polite and have their little pinkies out when they're sipping their intellectual tea.
Most all ideas about what sleep is and what dreams are just haven't really been thought through.
Well, I guess you should have provided some examples. I'm sure there's lots of rubbish out there, and maybe you should deal with the rubbish. But this idea that it's somehow, oh, this is just some sort of mystery of life, you know, why we sleep, number one, I think that one's just too fucking simple to answer. And then why your body makes use of the off time by doing some practicing, I think, again, that just makes so much sense. You know, that it's not even close to an idea where you say, oh, well, we have to do more thinking on that. Nah, that pretty much covers it. I think we're done.
Properly. And we're just, because we don't know how to think about it, are just accepting ideas that have been raised in the past, and no, because it's one of these non-scientific things that we've got no great hammer to knock down the old
well, obviously we don't have a picture of the exact mechanics of the brain or some way to diagram exactly how these two entities, I would argue, exist. The feeling, generate the problem, generate the solution. Yeah, we don't have a real good diagram of exactly what parts of the brain are doing that or how it's synthesizing that conflict, but I'd say that conflict or that scenario is why we are conscious. We are conscious because the two brains mix, and consciousness is the line where the two of them communicate, where they do part of their communication.
Wives' tales, pub talk sort of ideas.
I mean, for there to be a problem, you really do have to feel it consciously, right? So we can argue that at least that percentage of the scenario, you're getting the full Monty, so to speak, is going through consciousness. If you don't feel a pain, then the body isn't going to think the pain happened, the thinking brain isn't going to think the pain happened, there isn't going to be a problem. So there's only a problem when it's manifested into an actual sensation. So if we give you the morphine, yes, your brain probably says, no problems.
So they just stay out there.
I mean, there's no evidence that your brain actually thinks, he's suffering, he's in terrible pain, he's in awful, horrible pain, we have to find a solution. You know, when you're on morphine, there's no evidence that the thinking brain thinks, oh, he's still in pain. You know, it's not fooled. So clearly the feeling thing, the let's create a problem, that part of the computer, the cause and effect machine, that cause and effect machine only communicates with the other cause and effect machine through consciousness.
Everybody's in a state of unknowing about what it is.
No, I guess I'm just saying that I don't think I'm not in a state of unknowing, and I think the people listening to this video could say, yeah, that sounds pretty reasonable. You just said some shit, and that shit sounds pretty good. That's pretty round wheelie. I can't find a whole lot of points or angles on that. That seems like it'll roll pretty good logically. So, yeah, no problem.
But mystically, I just don't like the smell of the brain.
I don't like the smell of the word mystically. So that one was a real stinker for me. So I guess you shouldn't say that. You should say beardedly or something. You're a beardy man now. But yeah, if you're going to mysticize it, well, yeah, it should not smell right to somebody who's a mystic.
Data processing just on its own at night.
Well, again, I just don't see any point why it wouldn't bother doing some house cleaning, you know. Oh, there's Fuker in the fucker file. Let's take Fuker out of there. We don't even know what Fuker is, but it doesn't belong in fucker. You know, I'm sure there would be some use to the brain doing that. But obviously dreams aren't just Fuker files in the wrong place. Dreams are a whole narrative. It's a whole, you live a whole scenario out. Your brain makes up a cartoon. Yeah, and the whole thing is kind of crude. It's visually incomplete. It's rationally incomplete. It just makes it does it on the cheap. It does it with a 9-volt battery version. I mean, it does the really cheap version of reality. But it puts in there the important aspect, which is contest, competition. Try. It puts in try, and you know, that's what life is. It's try.
Because it sounds good if there's a controlling entity.
No, it sounds horrible if there's a controlling entity. The whole point is there is no controlling entity. There's two brains and no umpire. There's feelings and there's thoughts that try to fix the feelings, and that's all there is. And the two of them really can't. The thought thing can say, stop doing that feeling thing. And then the feeling thing can say, stop having those awful, horrible thoughts that make me think things, feel things. There's no control.
It sorts things out and gets people to work and tells people where to put things in what box.
Well, that's certainly happening in the sense that there's, in the end, there's a collective balance between the two assholes saying, basically, if you want to feel good, you got to have money to buy stuff that makes you feel good. So the thinking machine says, these are the rules of feeling good. And the feeling thing says, I don't feel very good about that. And it says, too bad, because these are the rules of feeling good. You got to do this stuff. You got to tie your shoes and, you know, not play in traffic.
And how significant that is and how we're going to learn from it, etc., etc.
Well, there you use the word, how we're going to learn from it. That's right. We learn from experiences, and your brain concocts experiences for us to learn through, to give us a little bit of practice.
But there isn't. It's just a brain.
So then we don't overreact and get hysterical. I mean, if you had a dream of a tsunami, and then 3 days later there's a tsunami, you're just so much ready for it. You're just so like, oh shit, it's happening. You know, and instead of like, what's going on? Instead of being surprised, you're like, oh, bring it on, baby.
With different parts doing different...
I know this time not to do, you know, you'll know what not to do. Kind of. Because like I say, the dreams are so bad sometimes, you know, it's not going to do you any good to do that. I can jump 20 feet high. Yeah, that's not going to do you any good. The 20-foot jumpy feet, you don't have those in reality.
Things, and all these are cause and effecty sort of things. And I can't see how cause and effecty kind of things, I've got just no idea how a cause and effecty sort of...
Right, over time, through evolution, yes, it just makes sense if you just think about it for a second. It just makes sense that if you're going to downtime the machine, and the brain has to stay running because it's a kinetic machine, it might as well do some work.
Process is going to get any sort of efficient data processing done.
Well, like again, this whole idea of data processing is just cutting it too crudely, because it's not data processing for the purpose of refinement. It's data processing for the purpose of create problem, solve problem. It doesn't care. The brain doesn't function to do something rational. It functions as a response to the world that exists and to the agenda of reproduction. And that's it. So it makes you into a dumb game player. And the dumb game is do this, make a problem in your brain, solve the problem in your brain, and somehow indirectly that'll solve a problem in the world.
Just when you're in Dodo Land, I'm sure, yeah,
I mean, Dodo Land is you, okay? So it's fine to call it Dodo Land, but it's you. Your brain has got all of these memories, it's got all of this crap, and to say that mixing with it and playing with it wouldn't be of some value, I just don't understand how it couldn't be of some value.
I'd be pretty sure that it's all done on the fly while we're awake.
Right. This whole on-the-fly thing doesn't even make any sense when everything we're made of is historical references to association. So every category we create, everything our brain does to organize everything is organized out of memories itself. So to call it some sort of kinetic engine when the entire reflexive mechanism is based on what you have previously experienced, sorry, right there you just really fell off the light post.
All that sort of data processing stuff. And I'll just throw the guess out that at night the dreaming and any thoughts that come are just undirected nonsense.
Right, so there'd be no point in undirected nonsense. So it just, and frankly, like I said, why would the stories have any coherency then? Why would there'd be nothing? It would be just chaos, and it's not chaos. There's certain definite themes. I mean, I've had dreams that felt like they were days long. There was so much in them.
Of no real use at all.
Nonsense. Sorry. Rubbish.
But I do admit it is still a mystery why humans sleep and why humans dream.
Well, like I said, I'm not mysterious at all. Easily deduced from the evidence, the obvious value to the function of the organism. Again, even as just a mood-altering drug, even as just something to keep you in the game, to keep you aware of the fact that even if you're comfortable, everything's nice where you live, any day a bear could move into town. And your nice world ain't a nice world anymore, and you gotta be ready for that. You can't be asleep, okay, at the controls. You gotta be constantly doing that one eye open thing, looking for the trouble, because the trouble may be a-coming. And your brain's just keeping you aware of those kind of things by scaring you a little bit. So anyway. But bravo for, whatever, doing your typical bullshit of, I just won't pay attention to him because he said he hurted my feelings, or he violated my pinky rules. I don't know whether this is over the star Sagittarius nonsense, you know, where he basically does a response video to a retard. Yeah, bravo. That's, you know, fuck. So that's, you know, there's just nothing to say. I mean, really, alright, play the game, whatever this game is. Blah, blah, blah. It's about as incoherent as the two brain problem. You know, brain A says, make a problem, brain B says, don't go anywhere near problems. Then I just have to do all this work solving them. Asshole. Alright, so enough. Ah, but shit. I mean, it just sucks. Like I said, you make a response video that people don't watch. I mean, it's just, you know, what the fuck is that shit? Even the lamest response videos to me, the most disgusting, stupid ones where like spaghetti is flying out of my mouth or something. I've watched them. Shit. Pussy. Jeez. Anyway, till next time.